Welcome back. We're gonna use these leftover beans that we made before, and we're gonna do homemade burritos. These are very good pan-seared burritos. This is a little bit longer, but it's a really great meal. It's Friday night, so we have the extra time to do a little bit longer. Gonna go over some things. These are $1 a piece. Very nice Spanish rice, right? They're only $1 a piece. So you got $2 there. I'm going to want to expand these beans a little bit. So we got Little Food Club. These are $1 a piece beans. And then I got some black beans because we like to have some black beans with it, all right? So now we're at $5. Oil and garlic's kind of your staple. I bought some green onions to go with this. We already had onions, but you know. So the green onions were, I think, 84 cents, something like that. And then for the meat, we're using chorizo. $1.50 a package. You can find this at Walmart. Really good Mexican sausage. Very good. Goes great in burritos, all right? So the first thing we want to start off is we want to get all the vegetables into the pan and frying before we put the beans in there. And again, safety. Like I said, easiest way to cut an onion. If you've never cut one before, I find, I'm not, one of those TV cooks or anything, never have been, is to take the ends off, and then I'm going to split it right down the middle. I do like a chopping knife. You do not have to use such a big knife. I happen to like it. It gives me more control. And then I'm going to get off the skin. That is kind of important too, by the way. Make sure you feel that skin. My skin is not very appealing or appetizing. I like to try to get it off my cutting board too, because these little pieces can get in there. All right, and then I just simply, I don't know if you want to zoom in a little bit, see if you can get a little bit better of a picture of this. But we're cutting it in about quarter inch or so pieces, maybe a little bit larger. And then I take my knife and I'm going down and going all the way across. Keeps my fingers away. And that way I do not have to worry about adding finger to the recipe, nor going to the emergency room. Again, a few extra seconds. I know what you see on TV, but we also see, $150,000 state-of-the-art kitchens on TV that teach us how to cook for our families. Most of us can't afford that. So I'm gonna go down this again. I'm doing this a little bit faster the way that I normally do it, because I don't really worry about it whenever I know I'm sauteing them up. I'm sure there's terms for this, all those weird terms like julienne or blah, blah, blah. I don't worry about it. Guys, we're feeding our families. We're not trying to make ourselves sound like we're some sophisticated person. So I'm gonna put the onions in here, into my pan. Whatever frying pan you have is perfectly fine. We're gonna add a little bit of oil to it. And hopefully I'm not going to cry, because onions do that to me. And now we're going to put some of these green onions in here. I just simply chop them. Don't worry about it. They're all going to cook down. It's going to taste very, very good. And we're getting them cut and dealing with it. Cut them all the way down to the ends because we don't want to waste anything. And then I'm going to put that in there. Okay. All right. And then I've got garlic. I've told y'all before, garlic is a really great item. Very flavorful. I buy it already minced. It makes it quicker to use. Again, you don't have to worry about paying whatever ridiculous amount for a small clove. Again, we're cooking. And then I'm just going to add some vegetable oil to it. We want to make sure we got a little bit just to kind of sprinkle over it. We're going to put this on the stove. Big burner here. And then if you'll pause it. Alright, as we can see, we've got them sizzling up now. The heat's starting to heat in, so the oil's popping. This is where I'll turn it down a little bit. You don't want that oil popping you like crazy or anything like that. And we're not trying to, pulverize these. We're trying to soften them down. I'm going to put just a little bit of chili powder in here. Sprinkle it around. You can do it to your taste, but there's not a lot of measuring in this. We're going to put a little bit of garlic salt in here. And, of course, black pepper. Again, these are all spices. They're very cheap spices, you know, so that you don't have to spend a fortune on it. You do not have to buy the $7 spices to get good spices. And then I'm using a little bit of onion salt. Do watch that. These will do this every now and then. You'll dump all kinds of seasoning in there. Make sure that your shaker top's on top. They're a little bit of a cheaper bottle, so sometimes the tops pop off. Still not worth paying $9 for a bottle of seasoning that you can get for $1.50 in a very big bottle. Alright, so now we're kind of sauteing that down, and we will come right back when these are sauteed down enough to add the beans. Alright, so now we're going to add last night's leftover beans because they've got all of our good flavors in them. You do want a little bit of this juice getting in there. We're not dumping all the juice in there. We're letting enough get in there. And I will move this pan out of your point of view in just a minute here. So basically, I'm using a Holy spoon. Again, these cheap spoons from Dollar Tree. You can pick them up anywhere. And we're going to spoon in all these good beans that are leftovers. This was not enough to make a whole nother meal out of. There are other things you can do with beans, by the way. You can turn them into a nice chili. But tonight, we decided we wanted to do a good homemade burritos. Alright, so I've got those in there. They're going to start warming up. As you can see, there's juices in them. And so I'm going to get my helper there to pop the cans that I've got. And we're going to add those to them too, but we're going to strain those because we don't want those juices that have no flavor in them. We're just adding to the beans here. And we're going to let this warm up, and then we're going to smush all this together to make our refried beans that go in here. You can add other things to this if you want, whatever it is that you like. Some people like to add a can of Rotel to it, stuff like that. There's nothing wrong with that. That's a really good flavor. And obviously you can add, you know, the seasonings that you like and that you feel like go really, really good. These we did buy chili beans to add a little bit of flavor to them. They're cheap can of beans. They're not going to be the tremendous amount of flavor, but that's okay. It adds some. And then we're going to add these. And then we're going to turn this back up a little bit now because we need to get it rewarmed back up. Make sure you get all those beans out of there. You don't want to waste them. And mixing them back up again. We're going to mix in all these flavors. And then if you'll hand me something to smash them with, please. And then once we're done with the refried beans, we're going to pause, and then we will make the rice, because the Spanish rice mixed into the burrito with this is very good. And it's just a potato smasher. You can buy these Dollar Tree too. You'll probably want one because, you know, mashed potatoes are actually a very good side that is cheap. You know, you could buy a big old 8-10 pound bag of potatoes for $6-8, but that's going to go across several meals. And you can make homemade mashed potatoes, which are far superior to the box mashed potatoes, and you can make them cheaper. So when you can make them cheaper and they come out much, much better, and especially when you add your own flavors to them, I mean, you just can't beat that. So all we're doing is we're smashing this up, and between the beans and the juices, we're going to get a good consistency of a refried bean, especially as we cook it down. And again, you're working with a hot pan, so you know, make sure you're holding onto the pan while you're doing it. You don't want to accidentally knock your pan off. You don't have to get real aggressive with this. You don't want to get to where you're splashing everything everywhere, or like I just did, or everything. Just take your time, smash them up. They're kind of warming up at the same time anyways, so keep working them all the way around, and we will come back when we got these about right. Alright, these are pretty much smashed down about where I want them. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn this down very, very low, because we're just going to let them simmer down and cook together. We can always re-smash again if we find big bean chunks again in it. But turn them down, put a lid on them, let them rest, and we're going to pause and then get started with the rice. Alright, now we're going to work on the rice. Like I said, these are about $1 a piece. Maybe some of y'all want more. It's got them for $1.50, but still very, very cheap. These do not require a whole lot. All right, in a medium saucepan, we're gonna bring 2 cups of water and 1 tablespoon of vegetable oil, which by the way, even the vegetable oil is optional on it, and the contents of the package to a boil. Since I'm making 2 of them, we're gonna do 4 cups. So I've got my measuring cup here. Again, you could buy a cheap measuring cup. This one here happens to be 2 cups at a time. So I've got my 2 cups in. I'm going to go ahead and turn this up. And I've got my other 2 cups in. Alright. And then I'm going to go ahead and add the vegetable oil. Actually 2 tablespoons. You can measure that out. That's one of your larger spoons, right? Probably the one that Dad eats with a lot, like I would, because the teaspoons seem too small. And then as it says, we're going to take this and we're going to kind of whisk it in, straight in with that. And then we're going to sit here and we're going to wait for it to come to a boil. And when it comes to a boil, and it is kind of important, these things can clump. So when you're putting it in there, use something to mix it in really well. Alright, there's one. And like I said, these are great little staple items that really go far amount, because even though those 2 little bags look small, when we're done, you will see how much actual rice you get out of that. You get quite a bit. And so I've got that mixed in well. By the way, never use metal on metal. If you've got Teflon or something like that, don't do that. These are stainless pans. That's why on this pan, you saw me with the beans, I was using plastic. These are stainless steel. It doesn't hurt them for me to be able to use metal on them. But that is something to kind of always remember. You don't want to tear up your pans if you got a set of Teflons. So we got the beans cooking in the back, and this has just got started, and I turned it up, and we will come back in when this is coming to a boil to finish the instructions on those. All right, this is now boiling, nice and hard. You want it to have a good hard boil. Now what I like to do is, because I like to keep things out of my way while I've still got other things to work with, I'm going to turn this rear burner on. And I'm just going to move it back here, and it's on low, and then I can turn this rear one off. I'm sorry, I want to keep that rear one on and turn the front one off. And now you are literally just going to cover this, leave it on low for about 7 minutes, and that is going to be beautiful rice. 7 to 8 minutes, that's it. And like I said, I move my stuff to the back because it gets it out of your way. Always turn handles out of the way too. Because if they're turned like this, just kind of a safety thing, and you accidentally hit it by accident, you're going to dump that whole thing. So always turn your handles out of the way to where you can't really hit them. They're out of the way. And now we will pause for a second, and we will start frying the chorizo to get it ready. Alright, now we're starting with the chorizo. I just clipped off the very little tip, and so that way we can just squeeze it right in here. It's a lot easier this way. You don't make a complete mess out of it. This chorizo sausage is also seasoned, and that's the crazy thing, is it is seasoned really, really well. And right now, like I said, and has been for quite some time, it's about $1.50 a package, so this is $3 versus $7 a pound for any kind of ground hamburger meat. And we just squeeze it all the way out, and I've already got the pan on, so it's going to start cooking, and then as it cooks, we will zoom in on it and show you how to kind of just cut it up and scatter it and everything like that. So as soon as it starts cooking, we'll get right back to it. Alright, so we've got a good cook going on now. So now I'm just kind of chopping it up. It's not hard to see. It's a real bright red. And as it cooks down, it's going to get a darker kind of brown. It's still going to keep that red. And by the way, chorizo is, it is pork. So at least this particular is. So it is going to be very, very greasy. You're going to have a lot of grease in it. If you're the type that likes that greasy flavor, all those seasonings and stuff like that, then you can obviously use it. But if you don't, you can scoop the chorizo out in order to make it much easier or less greasy, and dip it onto the burritos. And my wife and daughter are going to actually jump in at that point when we got most of these ingredients done, to where we're actually assembling the burritos, because I am terrible at rolling burritos. And so like I said, y'all just keep cooking that until it actually crumbles. It'll get real fine, it'll crumble up real good, and we'll come back and kind of show you what the done result is. But it's not hard to see right now. You see how it's still very stringy. That's raw meat. And so we're going to just keep cooking that until it's nice and done. And we will come back whenever it gets closer to done. Alright, as you can see, the chorizo is boiling hard. This is what I was telling you. You see all the grease and stuff in it. You do not have to dip that grease in it into your burritos. They'll show you that whenever they get to using them. But obviously, you can use a spoon to drain it out and be able to use it. Although I will tell you this, a lot of that flavor is in that grease. If you got a household that likes the chorizo in all the burritos, you can actually mix it straight into your refried beans all at the same time. We're going to go ahead and turn that off because that is ready. And then as you can see, it's been about 7 minutes. So the beans are cooking down. They're still looking watery. Don't worry about that. They will continue to cook down and they will continue to thicken up. Just let them keep boiling until they cook down. You're cooking out a lot of those waters and stuff like that. And you're making the beans even more smushable, as you can see. So we will come right back whenever we're ready to assemble. Alright, I've got the lid off the beans now. They're simmering good. You're getting some bubbling. As you see, they're starting to thicken up. And so we're just going to leave the lid off of them. And as you can see, the more that they're cooking, the more they're thickening up. Might be about 15 minutes or so, but just keep letting them cook and keep stirring them. And just make sure that, well, one, that you don't turn the heat all the way off. I accidentally did. And just make sure you kind of keep stirring them so they don't stick to the bottom. Again, you're using a Teflon pan. I'm using a plastic spatula because I don't want to scratch up the pan. Whereas I am still using plastic on my chorizo. Remember that this pan here is stainless if you have no coating. It's kind of important because I don't want y'all tearing up pans by accident either. And by the way, if you can't get pans from a Dollar Tree or something like that, you can always get pans from Amazon. Amazon's a good place to get pans, and you can get fairly affordable. My wife bought these really nice stainless steel pans fairly cheap off of Amazon, and it was a whole kit that came with quite a few. I think like 12 pans or something, quite a few. And so a really great place to get your starter kit is right off of Amazon. Alright, and so we will come back in just a minute. Okay, we are back, and now I've got my whole family involved. All the hands are going to show. They're too scared to get on camera, but that's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. They're going to show you how to do this. So my wife there is that's the beautiful burrito maker. The rest of us cannot get them to stay together. And so you said that you had warmed those, right?
Yes, I put them in the microwave, just 15 seconds.
Yeah, it makes them more pliable.
Yeah,
okay.
Warm them up, make them more loose.
All right, well, we are ready to start making them. Let's see the magic happen.
Okay, for his, I just start with a little bit of cheese. And then the other ingredients.
The refried beans. And guys, those refried beans, they're not like when they come out of a can. They're not going to look like dog paste. They're going to look like real beans still. So they're going to look a little different. That's okay.
Some black beans.
Yep.
And then he likes the chorizo, so we can put that in there.
By the way, to point it out, that's the Mexican rice. That big old pot of rice was $2. $2. Very good, by the way. And there's that nice red chorizo.
Thank you. So, rice.
And y'all can see, these are not your microwavable burritos. These aren't the 3-bite burritos. These are huge, delicious burritos.
Green onions. And fresh jalapenos.
I'm the only one that eats the fresh jalapenos. Although I can tell y'all, if you will de-seed those, they're not that hot. And their jalapenos are not real expensive fresh.
Okay. To fold them. Bring in the sides. And squeeze it in there. You're going to get dirty, but it's worth it.
And see, she says that's easy, but that's not as easy as you think. And now they're spreading a little bit of butter on it before they sear them in the pan. And we're going to get a little bumpy here, but we're going to go to the pan now, so that you can see them getting seared in the pan.
I put the folded side, this side down to get it to sear itself closed.
It also creates a beautiful crunch on that tortilla. Just a nice crunch that is very good. And guys, like I said, with everything that we've got here, again, I think we've got maybe $10 into this, maybe 12. But we're going to show you when we're done how absolutely beautiful and how many big, huge burritos you can get from $10. We will come back as soon as these things start searing to show you when they're about golden brown enough. As we are back, and she's going to show you how to flip these. Always use tongs, always be safe. So,
okay. I'm going to flip it, and if food comes out, it's okay. You can still serve it. It's still really good because you're going to eat it with a fork anyway.
you see that nice golden brown? That's going to be good. And like she said, if a little bit falls out, like some of the jalapenos fell out of the ends of it, don't worry about it. Throw them back on top when you're done. They're great garnishes. And again, this isn't about making food that's, TV worthy. This is about that burrito. I'm telling you, when we're done, we'll show them to you. But it is fantastically good. The refried beans in it are velvety. They're full of flavor. That rice adds a layer. Everything adds a layer. And again, this is a $12 meal that creates a vast amount of burritos, and your family eats good. So we will come back when we've got all the burritos done to sign off and show you what $12 can do. All right, we're back. You go come over here. It's my whole family, and so all of us contributed to making this. Now, $15 is about what we averaged it out. It was $2. You want to grab our whiteboard real quick? It was, I believe, $2 for the rice, and we'll bring it over here, and let's see here. We got $2 for the rice, $3 for the beans, $2 for the cheese, $1 for the green onions, $4 for the tortillas, and $3 for the chorizo, okay? So we ended up coming out with a total of 15 bucks. This is our plates that we'll eat tonight, which is already more food than we can eat. And there are 8 more burritos made. 8 more burritos. In other words, there's a whole nother dinner meal there. And by the way, guys, as you can see, I'm going to split one of these open. If you want to go over there and zoom it in, I'm going to split one of these open. These are not microwave burritos. These are delicious, good burritos stuffed with all kinds of goodies in them. $15. All right. If you don't eat these for leftovers, guess what? You get a little container, carry it for lunch. We can carry these for lunches now. Guys, if you spend $20 a day between your whole family on lunches per day, eating a Whataburger or something, you probably spend more. That's $100 a week. There's 52 weeks in a year. That's $5,200 a year saved by overcooking. $15 dinner meal that turned into lunches for everybody tomorrow. That's $5,200 a year. What could you do with that? And understand, like I said, we're not talking about supplementing with, bologna and cheese only, and I don't know bologna and cheese or macaroni. We're talking about good food. So God bless y'all. Always, always follow the Lord, follow the word, and keep working at learning to cook, because this is how you pay your bills and you still eat good. God bless y'all.